Now, what I will also say is, Angel, your actions are starting to speak so loud, we can't hear what you're telling us. Because what you told us, if we go back to March 31st, was simple. You said you think people just take it like we hate each other. And Caitlin Clark and I don't hate each other. I want everybody to understand that. That's what you told us. The problem is your actions vehemently disagree.
Angel Reese was reportedly losing it after the WNBA handed her a suspension following a heated on-court confrontation with her longtime rival Caitlin Clark. This incident, which drew massive attention due to both their rivalry and the physical nature of the play, only intensified with the social media backlash that followed.
Probably every team in the league, if not all but one or two teams. And the two flagrants aren't just on the same team.
Yeah.
They're on the same woman on the same team.
Yeah.
It's not coincidence unless you believe that it is.
WNBA matchup between the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever tensions boiled over when Reese made a hard foul on Clark. While trying to block a shot, Reese missed the ball entirely, instead hitting Clark in the head. Initially, officials called it a common foul, but after reviewing the play, they upgraded it to a flagrant one, sparking controversy. The game ended in a 91-83 win for the Fever, but all eyes were on the post-game. Reactions raised downplayed the hit, calling it a basketball play.
It's a basketball play. I can't control the refs. They affected the game, obviously, a lot tonight. So I think we went up really strong a lot of times, and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle.
And Clark surprisingly agreed, stating that moments like this are simply part of basketball.
Part of basketball, it is what it is. Just trying to make a play on the ball and get the block. But yeah, I mean,
Both Reese and Clark have a long history dating back to their college days, where their competitive clashes often made headlines. This WNBA matchup was no different, with the old rivalry fueling even more drama on the court. But the tension didn't stop there. Reese, known for her outspoken personality, gave a brief and dismissive interview shortly after the game. When asked about the foul and the game, she reflected her frustration with the media. She had also thrown some shade at Clark, claiming her rival got a special whistle, implying the refs were giving Clark favorable calls.
The definition of a flagrant foul is literally hitting somebody above the...
That was not a special whistle. That was the correct whistle. When it's a basketball play, there's contact, it's a foul. When the contact comes to the head, it is a flagrant, it's upgraded. So that was not a special whistle, sis. That was a correct whistle.
But as social media caught wind of Reese's special whistle comment, fans began analyzing past games, looking for moments where Clark might have gotten away with favorable calls.
Here's where I'm going where the rivalry kicks in. Angel Reese, the reason why, obviously, the whole Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese thing happened was because when they met in the NCAA tournament in 2023, when Angel Reese was doing all of this, because Caitlin Clark had been doing that to her opponents when she got the best of them. So Angel Reese and LSU got the best of her, and that's what she did, unapologetically, okay? And Angel Reese is going to talk that talk. And so because she's going to talk that talk, and because she's a conscientious observer, and she's going to speak her mind, and she's going to be unapologetic in doing so, that is where you see her in the shine, and the throwing in stuff about her with Caitlin Clark really comes in the focus. If it's purely about their games are on two different ends of the spectrum. That's not the rivalry. The rivalry.
You're the player.
According to some analysts, the intense rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark is a forced one. But despite their on-court competitiveness, they've undoubtedly become two of the biggest names, fueling the skyrocketing interest in women's basketball. The moment Reese fouled Clark went viral, almost instantly sparking intense debate on whether the foul was excessive or just part of the game. Fans were divided, with some calling for Reese's suspension, arguing the hit looked intentional. In fact, this wasn't the first time Chicago Sky players found themselves in hot water over fouls against Clark. Earlier in the season, during their first matchup, Chindi Carter delivered a cheap shot to Clark during an inbound play, earning the team's first flagrant foul. Reese's hit was the second, adding fuel to the growing tension between these teams.
A lot what Shanae said. I think the thing is, I believe, Miss Carter, you can play hard without playing cheap. Now, if you want to say, well, she threw an elbow or a punch at my head, if you wanted to hip check her and you're trying to block her out for a rebound, I don't think we're having the discussion. Shanae, Monica, I don't think we're having that discussion. But because she was standing there and you go up and you do that, now all eyes are on you. Plus the fact, if people look at your resume, it's who you are. You're a top 5 pick, and within inside of a year, you're kicked off a team. You go to another team, and within that situation, all that happens. Yeah, of course. It's the same thing. Stephen A. Put Stephen A. up on the screen for a second.
Despite Reese's previous comments that she and Clark don't hate each other, her actions on the court are making people wonder if there's more to this rivalry than meets the eye. Reese did say that she doesn't hate Clark, but that she is just competitive. But many are arguing if she really meant the.
You think people just take it like we hate each other. And Caitlin Clark and I don't hate each other. I want everybody to understand that. That's what you told us. The problem is your actions vehemently disagree. Because on June 1st, after Kennedy Carter cheap shots Caitlin Clark, you get up and you celebrate the cheap shot of Caitlin Clark. And then you proceed to hug your teammate who just cheap shotted her. Then fast forward 2 days later, you say, I'll take on the bad guy role. Then fast forward 2 weeks later, you wear Joker's shoes. Now, for those that don't know, Joker is obviously a notable villain character in one of the most famous stories that we all like to celebrate in Batman. And then yesterday, you get a flagrant foul by hitting Caitlin Clark in the head. It was a basketball play, family, but what I want is simply for Angel and those that are a little bit ignorant to what has been going on to understand that Angel's actions are starting to speak so loud we cannot hear what is being said. For those that are unfamiliar, let me tell you all, there have been 540 minutes of Chicago Sky basketball. Pay attention to this detail. 540 minutes of Chicago Sky basketball, of which Caitlin Clark has played 74 minutes against the Sky. The Sky only have 2 flagrant fouls all season. Y'all want to know who the 2 flagrant fouls are on? Caitlin Clark.
In the aftermath of the game, the WNBA suspended Angel Reese for the foul, and her reaction was anything but quiet. On top of the suspension, the league fined her $1,000 for skipping post-game media duties after a narrow 71-70 loss, a small dent in her $73 for a $39 salary, which is as boosted by endorsement deals. The Chicago Sky also got hit with a $5,000 fine for failing to comply with league rules. But then again, she claims she hasn't been treated fairly. However, many agrees that it was all her fault from the beginning.
I would have gotten on her about what she just said, because I would have been like, how naive can you be? But she is young. She's only 22. And the reality is the scrutiny that she's been subjected to is inexcusable. It's egregious. It's disgusting. It's wrong. And there's a bunch of punk, no good, you know what's out there on the male and female side who are abusive because they're really, really good at being that way when they're behind keyboards and away from cameras and out of the spotlight where people know exactly who the hell they are. The only reason that I brought up the first part about Angel Reese is this. Caitlin Clark is box office. She is a star. And Angel Reese is to be completely believed that there's no hate. They both get along. They're cool with each other. They're high-end competitors, etc., etc. But you've known they were coming for you when you were waving your hands in your face to mock Caitlin Clark when you were beating her for the national championship. And you also are old enough to know that in this society, whether they want to admit it or not, they don't like seeing somebody black coming at somebody white who is a beloved star of theirs. That's not the case with all. It's not the case with most. But those who screech the loudest get the most attention sometimes. And that's what the worst of cynics and critics do. And so you knew they were going to come for you. You had to know that. Now, to the degree that they're doing so, I get where you're coming from.
Interestingly, the WNBA upgraded Chindy Carter's earlier foul on Clark to a flagrant one as well, and tensions were clearly boiling over Reese, even leaped off the bench to wildly applaud when Carter blindsided Clark with a hard shoulder check earlier in the game, while Carter refused to comment on her actions during the post-game media session. It was clear that there was no love lost between the two sides.
It wasn't a basketball play. It was an emotional reaction by Kennedy, and that's why it was a foul, and that's why it was upgraded, and that's why she was asked about it, and that's why the crowd reacted the way that they did, and that was a separate incident from everything else that's happening around Caitlin Clark. I think because we can look at that and then her response to it afterwards, her reaction in the post-game press conference, her comments that we just showed on social media, we can isolate this as this is her sending a message to Caitlin Clark. This is her violently sending a message on the court in a non-basketball fashion. This is her using her words on social media to send a message about how she feels about Caitlin Clark. She said it herself. Those are her words. Yeah. What does she bring to the table? I think the conversation overall about Caitlin Clark and the reaction that we're seeing from a lot of people has become a bit toxic, because I think this incident is getting mushed in with how people have been playing defense on Caitlin Clark, how physical they've been on Caitlin Clark. Some of the comments from some of the greats in the WNBA before Caitlin Clark got in, it's all kind of getting put into this pot of Caitlin Clark hate. Mm-hmm. And I think it's more nuanced than that. I think there are a lot of things that's happening with Caitlin Clark in the start of her career that are very normal to a lot of sports. You often see players who are in the league or players who have played before or greats have opinions about new rising stars in the league. That is not uncommon. That's not exclusive to women's sports. It's not exclusive to men's basketball. We can pull so many examples of that. You often see rookies get played very tough, get a little message shown to them, especially if they're coming into the league with a lot of hype. That also is not new. I think what is very specifically unique about this situation is we are seeing a transcendent crossover superstar come into the league and have a huge amount of buzz, of polarization, of excitement. It is translating in numbers. It is translating in ticket sales. It is translating in conversation. And overall, I think that's a good thing. I don't think that what Kennedy did is a reflection of how the entirety of the league feels. I don't think it's a reflection of how all female athletes feel. And I don't think it's a reflection of how the media feels. I'm excited about watching Caitlin Clark. I went to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball. It wasn't my first WNBA game. I was excited to see how she performed, and I watched very, very, very physical play from the moment of the tip to the end of the game on Caitlin Clark. So I won't deny that there is a bit of an energy towards Caitlin Clark from the players. But this is basketball. This is competition. They are athletes. And I don't think that every part of the conversation around Caitlin Clark should be in the same pot.
Both Reese and Clark have a long history dating back to their college days, where their competitive clashes often made headlines. This WNBA matchup was no different, with the old rivalry fueling even more drama on the court. But the tension didn't stop their Rays, known for her outspoken personality, gave a brief and dismissive interview shortly after the game. When asked about the foul and the game, she reflected her frustration with the media. She had also thrown some shade at Clark, playing her rival god. A special whistle implying the refs were giving Clark favorable calls.
Welcome to NBA Today. I'm Malika Andrews. We start our show in the W, where Caitlin Clark has just been named the 2024 Rookie of the Year. Clark averaged 19, 5, and 8 in her inaugural campaign, and she also led the league in assists. Clark's rookie season, it was historic. She had the most points in a rookie campaign, the most assists in any season ever, and she even messed around and got a pair of triple-doubles, something no other rookie has ever done. When a season is that special, we need a Hall of Famer to break it down. Rebecca Lobo is joining us now. Rebecca, can you just help us contextualize how impressive Caitlin Clark's rookie season was?
Malika, this season by Caitlin Clark is one of the best rookie seasons we have ever seen by a player in the WNBA. She has the 5th highest assists per game average ever. She's only the 2nd rookie to lead the league in assists. The other one was Tisha Penicheiro back in 1998. And I think the other thing you look at is only 2 other rookies have ever finished in the top 4 in MVP voting. Of course, Candace Parker set the standard in 2008 when she also won MVP. Diana Taurasi finished 3rd in MVP voting in 2004. And of course, Caitlin Clark this year finished 4th. And then, of course, when you look at what she helped do off of the court, there's not been another singular force like Caitlin Clark in terms of driving TV ratings and ticket sales. There's no comp for her in that regard.
Absolutely. She has been must-see all season long. And just to think where she is going to go from here is really, really exciting. I got to say, though, Rebecca, a lot of fans, they were anticipating Caitlin Clark becoming the 6th ever unanimous Rookie of the Year. Obviously, that did not come to fruition. She was just 1 vote shy. Were you surprised at all?
I wasn't really surprised, just because anytime you have 67 people voting on something, everyone's not going to have the same opinion. And Angel Reese, of course, had a terrific season.